thought that whatever you are putting your mind to, as in, there is work in front of me, there is a lot of pleasure in front of me. So not giving any importance to work either or not giving importance to pleasure, saying that this is all false, this is the game, so whatever you choose doesn't matter. So automatically the situation will govern the thing, that right now the work is demanding. As in, the situation says you are in a certain situation in which you are working, this has to be done. Now options are there, you can easily choose those options too. But then there is no preference between those options, because basically the morality says that, oh, work needs to be completed and there is pleasure too. So you have a dilemma, but dilemma doesn't actually exist, because for dilemma to exist, there must be two worthy choices for that. So can that be?
No, why are these two different? There is work and then there is
Yes.
something else. Why is there a separation?
Because that has been conditioned that work is negative, as in work is not pleasurable. Work is
And that's what makes the other thing pleasurable.
Yes.
But
Work
is that a fact?
No.
So then why must you repeat that conditioning? Why must you maintain that separation?
Yes.
Till the time you keep saying that this is work and that is pleasure,
Yes.
work by definition becomes
Burden.
a burden.
Burden. Yes. So that is to basically ward off the conditioning, because the conditioning is deep. If not,
No, you are not warding it off. You are deepening it.
Okay.
When you tell a child that if you finish your homework, you can go off and play, you know what you're telling him. What are you telling him?
This is the barrier between you and playing.
That work is not play.
You're condemning him to a work life in which he would just be desiring the end of office hours. Because office hours end and then pleasure starts. This distinction must be obliterated.
So this distinction.
Not only must work be play, but play must also be work. When you are working, you should be playful. And when you have gone out to play, even at that moment you must be working. This is, I know, very much against conventional wisdom, which wants to maintain a watertight separation between personal and professional life, and which always keeps suggesting to you that when you return home, you must keep all the work behind you. It doesn't happen that way, and if it happens that way, it will lead to suffering, stress, and a fragmented mind. When you are relaxing, work must be on even at that moment, and when you are working, you must be relaxed. How can work stop? If work is really an expression of what you are, how can you stop working for a few definite hours in the day? Work has to be like breathing then. You are breathing continuously, you are working 24 hours. And work is then synonymous with playing, because you cannot really be toiling 24 hours. You are playing 24 hours.
So I may have not constructed my question correctly. The main question was that in order to give a appropriate right response, in order to be with the facts, problem as far as I have faced has been that without knowing the facts, the right response doesn't come. And if the facts are shown, then the right response is very much obvious. So the right response is always obfuscated by the fact that there are certain values that are attached to objects and not seen objectively. So if the thought keeps on repeating that this is not real, does that help in seeing the facts clearly, coming close to the facts? How to come close to the facts?
The facts are there. Why do you have imaginations about anything? You're talking
Yes.
about your work. Do you know what your work is? Do you know what the fact of your work is? You have imagined it to be work, and that is why you deal with it as if it is work. You have a conceptual baggage about what you are doing, and that's what you think you are doing. But do you really know your work? You have built a portrait of your work. But what is your work? Do you have any idea of your work? Let me say you just have an idea of your work.
Yes.
Do you know your work really? When you know what you are doing, an indicator is that you are able to play with it. Playing starts happening. The separation between you and what you are doing reduces so much that you now feel empowered and free, authorized to play with it. But when you have an image of something, then you are obliged to abide by the rules. This is what I am doing, this is how it is done. It is a 4-step process. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. And then it is just boring, totally boring. Because you do not know it. So you must abide by the rules. You do not know it. You have no idea, only an idea of what you are doing. You know, when one is not an engineer, when one knows nothing about how cars are designed, then you can do only as much as the instruction manual, the driving manual permits you. Driving manual says, do this, do that, when the speed reaches X, change the gear, fill the tank. After such intervals, get the car serviced after such intervals. And you'll have to simply abide by those rules. You do not know what you are doing. You don't know what you are doing. So there is no energy in what you are doing. There is no playfulness. It's quite dreary. It's a list of instructions, and all you are doing is following them. Who wants to live that way? And on top of that, you have imagined that your pleasure lies elsewhere. First of all, this is so boring. Secondly, there is pleasure waiting somewhere else. Now you know what will be the quality of your work.
Yes.
All this wait for weekends, all this hankering after holidays. What is this? The festival season is upon us now. Huh? And you go to any hill station these days, there's no space to land a foot. Hotels are charging exorbitant premiums. What is all this? When you have no real relationship with your work, which is you, and hence when you have no relationship with yourself, then all your life you are just seeking holidays. Even this concept of moksha or liberation is just the concept of one grand final holiday. one ultimate holiday. That is what moksha is. One never-ending weekend with all the nubile apsaras and the rest of them. This weekend never ends.
In a way, everybody is seeking moksha only.
Everybody is seeking moksha.
Calling Monday blues.
There was that moksha bar and Nirvana discotheque. There is a new kind of weed that has come up, samadhi.
If the problem of not being able to relate with the work, with the external, has its roots internally, has its roots internally with the person, then why do we find that, in small kids, it's quite possible that a large section of them would resist homework, but it wouldn't be found that most of them would resist going out in the garden and playing. So there is certainly a distinction between playing per se, playing in the garden, using your body, and homework.
They want to go out in the garden because there is no playing possible in the house. Otherwise they would love to play even within the house. Kids are desperate to go out because they can't play in. Playing is nature. It exhibits itself everywhere. Just that when they play in the house, then they are thrashed. Otherwise they would play inside the house also. So there is no distinction. No distinction at all. You create that wall. Outside, playground, inside, living room, no playing possible. You see this distinction. This distinction is a distinction between a Friday and a Saturday. Or a Sunday and a Monday. Inside is Friday and outside is Saturday.
And then there are disruptions sometimes. The Friday gets really interesting and the Saturday ends up getting really boring. So is it, really not about the book, that in a book, what I'm trying to arrive at is the distinction between a book and a ball. One can be playful naturally with a ball, but the book hardly allows you any scope to be, because this is what
one
can be.
who is not playful with the book cannot be playful with the ball. Please understand this. It is not that the book is not really appealing to you. The fact is your own life is not appealing to you. When you are with the book, you are pretending boredom. When you are outside, you are pretending entertainment. The facts are nowhere. There is just pretension. When you really know the small facts of your life, how you are brushing your teeth, how you walk down the stairs, how you ride your bike, how you deal with the policeman, how you deal with your syllabus, how you deal with the food in front of you. When you know all these things, then you also know work, and you know play, and you know that there is no distinction. What do you think? The man who is bored in the weekdays suddenly becomes lively over the weekends? Seriously. What do you think? The man who is dead and flaccid till 7 p.m. becomes a pulsating, lively, creative mass of energy at 10 p.m. If he is flaccid in his office, he'll be flaccid in the bed also. He requires a stimulant in the office. He requires a stimulant in the bed also. The one who plays with everything. The one who works with everything. And these two are one. Even while playing, he is working. Working in the sense that normal, natural, spontaneous activity is going on. And even while working, he is playing. Hardly a difference. You ask him his working hours, he would be puzzled. As am I, often. When somebody asks me, how long do you work? I never know when it starts and when it ends. If somebody can tell you that he works from X to Y hours, then that fellow is a cheat. And if somebody can tell you that he parties from X to Y hours, then that fellow is a bore. His party ends. He's such a bore. At Y hours, his party ends. And his work ends. He's such a cheat. He's not doing justice to his work. How can work end? All of this will not fit into the theories that your university is teaching you. Don't try. There is going to be no synthesis.